Welcome to Over My Head Podcast Point 1. We're not calling it 1 yet. We're still figuring it out. But I'm Aaron Ruby. This is Will Ruby.
Hey.
You say a little something more so the camera cuts to you and then you say something.
Oh, you can. Well, I'll talk, but you can click on my face. You're like video directing this. You can actively click it around if you wanted to.
So I can. All right, cool.
There you go.
Well, there you go. All right, so Over My Head is a podcast about Will and I taking on projects that we don't necessarily have the expertise for.
Like podcasting.
Like podcasting. And my big project that I take on that I don't have expertise for is making a time-lapse dolly. I've been working on a time-lapse dolly for how long, Will? Like a
year and a half. Yeah. The first time we tried it was in San Bernardino.
I thought Hannah Flats. Yeah, near San Bernardino.
Yeah, outside San Bernardino. So yeah, that would be a year and a half ago. That was the summer of 2012.
Yeah. So basically, time-lapse dollies are expensive. The really good ones, like motion control kind of rigs, are well over $1,000. So I wanted to make something much more cheaply myself. And basically, the idea of a time-lapse dolly is that the dolly that the camera is mounted on, it moves, and then it takes a picture, and then it moves. So by stopping between each photo, it can take really long exposures for like star time-lapse without blurring the image as it goes.
Yeah, so I think to say you want the time-lapse dolly to produce time-lapses that the camera moves throughout. So it's a linear rig. The
Right.
camera mounts, takes picture, takes picture, and you string that together into a video or...
Right. So each picture becomes a frame in a video file that like really compresses the time it takes. So it might take 2 hours to go through a whole move with 30-second exposure for each shot, and that becomes like a 10-second video of the
Right.
stars flying by, and they're really cool. I love doing them.
So, and the state of the art for this is that company, what is the one out of like the Midwest?
Not Emotive Mo. You're talking about
They make kind of a similar light, what is it?
Here, I'll look it up. You keep talking about what
anyway,
it might be.
Yeah. Well, the idea of these is that you want a very uniform movement. You want the camera to come to rest completely. You want the camera to take its picture, and then upon finishing, the dolly moves as soon as it can, and repeat that cycle.
Right. Yeah. So to do that, to actually make a dolly that can do that, basically I'm hooking an Arduino, which is a little tiny microprocessor with a bunch of like pinouts, hooking that into the camera and then connecting that to a stepper motor that drives the dolly itself down the track. So the Arduino is doing all the thinking for this motor.
And it's also
and for
triggering the camera.
Right.
Yeah. And then you're using, explain the kind of drive you're using.
Meaning like the stepper motor?
Yeah, so you're using a stepper motor, but it's not on the dolly itself.
Right. So right in its current form, the stepper motor is mounted at the end of the track,